hosting this mess. We have various things to talk about today, but the one thing I was honestly surprised, given the amount of people I saw talking about it on the internets, that more people of our crew had not already just marathoned through Tiger King on Netflix. It was why I did. It's not something I normally would have rushed out to go see immediately, but I'm glad I did. But joining me to talk about it today, first off, we've got JC. How you doing, man?
Doing well.
Yeah. And I love your poster there in the background, the Hateful Eight. I think your house is filled with cool posters.
Yeah, you can above some of the Cabin in the Woods one is a really prized possession with you've got that one too though.
I do.
I'm real proud of this Innkeepers one because that's kind of not an obscure movie, but it's not really a poster that a lot of people have.
Never actually seen that Hateful Eight one. That one is fantastic.
That is really cool. Yeah. I was going to say, also joining us is Santiago. Hello, sir.
Hello. I'm doing pretty good. I'm doing a lot better than Joe Exotic. I'll tell you that.
Oh, right. Well, yeah, I think almost everyone
we'll
is
talk about
better
that, though.
than Joe Exotic. What a name. I'm changing my name to Chris Exotic. I have a feeling that's got, that's got legs, is all I'm saying.
I agree.
So I can't see what's going on in your house there.
I don't know. You've got a really dark setup there.
I don't know why it seems so dark. I think it's because I have so much light behind my computer, but there's some cool posters around here. None of them are movie related, unfortunately, but lots of this is technically my studio. I've got lots of toys in here, check out this thing.
Nice.
Stuff like that. But yeah, this is where I hang. My dark lair.
Well,
that's why I've got this evil light too. I'm gonna hover it up to my face if I say anything really, really dramatic.
I like it. Good. Are you about to say something really dramatic?
Yes.
Whoa! I got the chills.
That was it. It also changes colors. It's very slowly changing colors. Anyway.
So yeah, we are here. We'll talk about a bunch of stuff, and I'll bring other people in and out as we go here. In fact, I gotta remember to put the link here so they can join the rest of our crew later. But so let's talk about Tiger King. Holy crap. What the hell was that? Did anybody else already know about this guy? Because I remember hearing something about him beforehand, but this was still kind of new to me.
I didn't,
go ahead, JC. Go ahead.
I didn't know anything about him per se, but there's a bit in the show where they talk about Big Cat Rescue and how well marketed it is and how many people follow it on Facebook and things like that. And yeah, I was one of those people. Big Cat Rescue, I follow their Facebook page. They post tons of videos. They have a shit ton of big cats there in their place. Before this documentary, I thought they were pretty much 100% on the up and up. And for the most part, I think they still are. Mm-hmm. They don't do a lot of the nefarious things that some of the other guys do. But yeah, Carol is clearly batshit.
Yeah, just a little.
She scares me.
I had no idea about. I just knew about Big Cat Rescue in general.
Yeah, I didn't know about her at all. I had seen pictures of Joe Exotic, certainly, and I knew there was something going on, but I remember we looked at the trailer for our show, The Breakfast Pub, which is right now the show kind of replacing in some ways, and went, yeah, I don't normally watch these true crime things, documentary series. I mean, I'll watch a movie, but a series is a commitment, right? But I was like, now this one, I mean, the list of things that were involved, you're like, how can you not want to watch it? Those people out there who don't know about who this guy Joe Exotic is, or Joseph Maldonado Passage, he was this guy who ran this giant zoo of big cats and a few other things, like monkeys and what have you. And he's many people across the country who do this, and we deal with several of them, but he's kind of the main focus. He is the titular Tiger King. And we find out early on this girl, Carol Baskin, who's the owner of Big Cat Rescue, which is, for all extents and purposes, doing not much different than he is. But they have an attitude like, yes, but we're conservationists, and what you're doing is exploitation. I could see no difference in the way that they were doing things, quite frankly. But she's like just picked him as a target to attack constantly. He took it extremely personally, and it turned into this war that ended up leading to him trying to put a hit out on her life. And that's not even the craziest thing that happens over the length of this story.
No, and I think that we're kind of experiencing a new era of documentary filmmaking where we see criminal activity actually unfold as we're watching the TV show. Like the portion where the filmmakers are telling some of the people involved that one of the other people that they know is like working for the police and whatnot. Like that is truly, that's very new to me. Like I don't think that's ever happened on television before, where, you know, it seems like someone is thinking that they can trust the person on the other end of the camera. It's really quite exciting. I can see why people are into this sort of thing, but it's certainly something new.
And true crime is kind of taking an evolution, and as most things do, kind of evolve, and in a way that I like. Like I'm as fascinated with like murder and like Jeffrey Dahmer and like Ted Bundy as the rest of the people, but I'm not like super obsessed with it. And when every true crime doc or every true crime podcast is covering like some grisly murder, it's like eventually it's like, okay, we get it. They're terrible people in the world. What else do they do?
Right. This is one where there's plenty of other things that they do. I mean, for instance, Joe Exotic is a country music star who puts, not star is a strong word, but he's put out albums and videos. Did you see it just came out today that apparently that is indeed not him singing on those videos?
Yeah, he's like he's singing over a dub that is somebody completely different. Yeah, that's hilarious.
Yeah, I was because I remember us going, well, say what you will about Joe Exotic, he's a pretty good country musician, all things considered. And now you're like, yeah, not so much. that was, yeah, apparently he's like, no, I do sing on the tracks. And apparently he's like buried extremely deep in the tracks, singing softly on top of the vocals, which are done by hired guns, basically, which is a shame. But the videos are funny as shit. I mean, he literally does. Okay, so Carol Baskin is many things, and I would be remiss in saying I didn't just alone she make me feel uncomfortable because she has that PETA sort of like holier than thou sort of attitude. But at first, like, if it wasn't just that, I'd be like, okay, there's no question that she is like at least trying to do the right thing. But when it comes out that there is pretty much, as far as I'm concerned, no doubt she murdered her ex-husband and fed them to her tigers, I'm like, oh my God, she is the villain of this piece.
She's pretty evil. Yeah. It's funny since this documentary came out, like I said, like I would always look at Big Cat Rescue's posts and things like that. And so their posts were always super normal, like, hey, here's Joseph the Lion doing whatever. And since this documentary came out, now their Instagram is filled with like different messages saying, hey guys, remember there are a lot of haters out there trying to sell these weird, like just weird messages from their Instagram now. And it's like, wow.
Yeah. And that crew, man, everyone in this thing is like a mess. Like, I think there's like there's one guy who's kind of on the outside who's a little like, okay, well, that guy I would still serve at a bar. Everyone else in this, it was the guy who's kind of big, and his final shot is him riding a jet ski towards the camera, and it's like this kind of like, he thought that was the coolest thing anybody was going to show. Yeah. Like, that's me, I'm a badass. And you're like, everyone in here has no idea of their own self-image. The guy who's the initial boyfriend to Joe Exotic, who's got like 3 teeth left, and even those are rotting. Like, yeah. That's one thing alone. That's like, okay, that's all right. Even though apparently by the time they were like halfway through filming, and we're still had a lot more to do, including interviews with him, he had gotten false teeth that were like convincing, and they filmed a bunch of stuff with him, and they chose not to include any of that. Which I think is very funny, and I would have made exactly the same decision personally. But the fact that he does every interview with his shirt off is like, you guys just don't really get, like,
they're a different breed. It's like the one guy who was supposedly hired to go and kill Carolyn. They're interviewing him, and he puts on like a bathing suit and gets into his bathtub. Like during the interview, it was a totally unusual scene because he's like splashing warm water onto his chest. I mean, who does that while you know you're going to be on television? So I think they're like basically like a subspecies of carnies. All these people, like, we're essentially they're carnies, but they just do a different leg of work. But it's the same idea. It's the same thought. It's the same school of thought, I think.
Yeah. Like the guy with the jet ski, like, they probably like, hey, we need some footage of you living your everyday life. What's the thing that you do every day? He's like, well, I ride this fucking jet ski all over the place. It's like,
I mean, I will say though, critically, I thought it didn't need to be as long as it was. It's a little long at 7 episodes where I'm like, a lot of this is y'all just going over the same stuff you've already gone over, quite frankly. But it's still just such a wacky story. There's so many elements to this that just make you go, seriously? I mean, this is that part of the world we like to pretend that there's really not people that are this, that mutants like this don't really exist to some degree, because they're just like, how does anyone go through their life thinking the way these people do? And all of them, like literally every big cat owner is a crazy person in their own distinct way. Like the guy who's like never really set up to be a bad guy or a good guy. He's just set up for like a whole nother documentary, like a Tiger King sequel for Doc Antle. I guarantee you there's going to be a Tiger King sequel just about that guy.
Like the most normal guy is the guy who's maybe running a cult that has 9 wives.
Yeah, he's got all these hot chick wives he's had for decades, some of them who live with him. And to be fair, all of them have their own separate big houses that they live in their tiger neighborhood, which I thought was kind of amazing. But, it comes out that, like, yeah, he's basically just running a cult. And I mean, he definitely comes across as the most normal person on the thing in just talking. But the more you find out about him, the more you're like, can we shift? I feel like I got the Joe Exotic picture. I want to know the dirt on this guy. Who did he murder and feed to tigers? Because he was someone.
He does have kind of like an Anton LaVey type of glaze in his eyes, like he just kind of feels like he's, I don't know, it's like he's not holier than thou, he's like occultish. Like he's like Aleister Crowley and Houdini and maybe just like, Timothy McVeigh all mixed into one. I'm reaching here, but the guy's weird is what I'm saying.
Yeah, I think part of what makes him seem normal is that he's very self-aware, because there's one part in the documentary where he's like, I get it. You're trying to make me admit that this is a cult, and I'm not going to do it.
Yeah, he's certainly not stupid. He's no slouch, that's for sure.
Yeah, that's very true. He's not dumb. Even Joe Exotic's not dumb. He's just got personality defects. He's like incapable of accepting blame for anything, even though he's just making these really business-wise ridiculous decisions. When he goes, well, just to fuck with her, with Carol, I'm going to name our traveling version of our business the same name as her company. Like, that was never going to be a problem.
I do think that Joe's only real, I mean, aside from, obviously it sounds like he sold some cats and probably had to euthanize some, which to me, I have to say, like, is bad in all its intents, but it sounds like he was running a pretty big zoo. Sometimes that apparently has to happen in zoos. I know that for just being educated about what happens at zoos. But I do think that a lot of it, you're right. I mean, he's just guilty of being stupid as hell. Like,
wait, do you run a big cat zoo, Santiago?
No, I'm from Brownsville, Texas, and I volunteered for several years at the Glassport Zoo, which is one of the biggest zoos in the U.S. And I just
good zoo. I've been
right on. I just asked a lot of questions, and sometimes whenever like animals get really sick, they just have to put them down. They don't really have a whole lot of like leeway as far as like what to do. And I'm not trying to sympathize with Joe. I do think he's truly sick and unusual, but I do think that one of his biggest faults was just being incredibly stupid. Just like you said, I mean, he was just very gullible and very self-centered, and all he saw was his own like limelight, and it really outshined everything, including the people around him, which was clearly exemplified when Travis did whatever he had to do. That was dark. That was really dark.
Yeah, that is the bummer of this, the euthanizing part, because and this is where I say, like, I still feel like for the most part Big Cat Rescue is kind of on the up and up, because I don't think they're breeding cats for cub pictures to move them around and have people take pictures of the cubs and then euthanizing cubs once they get too big. I don't think they're doing that, and it seems like some of these other guys are.
Yeah. I don't know how much there is to say that we haven't already said here, other than I still would have gone to his zoo.
I don't think you still can. It's like
I still visit Big Cat Rescue.
Yeah, no, I would love to go like hug a bunch of tiger cubs. Who wouldn't? That's amazing.
I have to say something about that. What is with that? Is there some kind of super mystical like affinity that people have with like petting like a creature that can kill you that just makes them want to become your slave? Like, I just couldn't get it, because it seemed to be consistent across the board. When you had the guy's cult, and then you had like all these people that seemingly like bowed down to the person who had the cats. That was truly unusual. I'm still thinking about that because I don't get it, and I just want to really understand that, but maybe I won't until I just, hold a dang tiger in my hands and then realize that I owe somebody a lot of my life. Just like, wow, that was amazing. What can I do for you?
Yeah, I think it's just a matter of like taking a picture with a cute tiger cub or a lion cub and things like that. But I mean, like I can attest to, like I'm somebody who I like Joe Exotic. I have a shit ton of big cat tattoos all over my body. I love big cats. I love lions. I love tigers.
There you go.
I would never own one, but like, because I respect the animals and things like that. But I mean, I get it.
Yeah, no, I mean, who wouldn't?
I don't get it.
I've even seen people I know online like, oh my God, I took a picture at a mall with Joe Exotic's cats. Look, I was one of those people who took a picture with a little tiny like cub. Oh, I was like, yeah, I wouldn't feel bad about that. I'm sorry.
Peter's coming after you.
Bring it.
Peter. Yeah.
All right. Well, we are going to move on. I am going to go and talk about some of the news stories that came out this week. So I'm going to bring in Justin here. Hello, Justin.
Oh, hello, everybody.
How are you?
Good. I only have a little bit of time, but I can talk a few news stories.
Okay. Well, I'm going to just start off here with something that I found was extremely amusing, that Netflix is making a Dragon's Lair movie starring Ryan Reynolds, and produced by Ryan Reynolds. And so I'm older than a lot of the people who I work with here on the site, by a significant margin. And Dragon's Lair was something I spent, I don't even know how much money on. I mean, seriously, like a ridiculous amount of money on back in the day. If you have never heard of it, you don't know what it is. It was an arcade game. It was one of the first games that you were basically playing an animated movie that was timed. So there were points in the movie where to do something, not get killed, you had to move the joystick left, right, up or down, or press the action button. And if you didn't, it would have a death scene or whatever. And it was really, I mean, in retrospect, that's stupid as hell. We spent so much money just to watch the end of a goddamn like 20-minute cartoon. Like I must have spent over $100 easy on that damn thing.
Well, and the big thing too, why it was such a big hit, because it was a Don Bluth production as well.
Yeah, the animation was gorgeous.
Like, yeah,
you
really
can actually.
Cool.
You can actually get it and its sort of spin-off Space Ace. You can buy them on Blu-ray and play them with your Blu-ray remote controller.
Oh yeah, no,
Which
it's
is
big
pretty
stuff.
cool.
They have them on sale on Xbox now and pretty much all consoles. And I know, Don Bluth was very big on getting this produced because, I would recommend people watching Saber Sparks' video about Don Bluth, where it goes through the whole history of his career, kind of thing. It's just he's a fascinating individual who's really bad at making executive decisions, and that's usually his biggest downfall, because they would do stuff like Rock-a-Doodle and those terrible animated films. So this is kind of a thing of him trying to go back to the well and say, well, what worked for me in the past?
Yeah, no question. I mean, I've always loved Don Bluth's animation. I guess worked at Disney initially and then formed his own company.
Yeah, he had a very public kind of feud with Disney, because that's the whole reason he did Escape from Nim, I think it was, and then Land Before Time, to show that you can make a big blockbuster animated film that could compete with Disney, because they were unchallenged for a good decade or two at that point. So
Yeah. But I guess Dragon's Lair we had never seen anything like it. Although I believe Japan beat us to the punch. There was a game that we didn't get till after, but I believe precedes Dragon's Lair, and I can't remember what they called it, but it was the Castle of Cagliostro, the Lupin the Third animated movie that they just cut up and made into one of these games and added new animated sequences, to have him die or whatever during it. But I remember when that came out, we were like, ooh. Anyway, the upshot is that I was a big fan of that. I love the animation style. It hasn't really been made entirely clear whether it's going to be live action or animated.
Oh no, it's live action. I saw a news report on IMDb that it's going to be live action. That's why Ryan Reynolds signed up for it. And it's just funny that Ryan Reynolds seems to be the video game guy now, because he's got Detective Pikachu. He's got, I think, Free Guy, that movie that's coming out that's based on video games.
Right.
And then this. So I guess he's just the go-to guy to do video game movies.
I'm okay with it.
He's doing good at it so far, I think, overall. I like Ryan Reynolds. I think he's really funny. And I think that you could definitely, with live action, find a way to do this and find a sort of, and they got to find some sort of meta key to it. Like, oh, he's like a fan of the game and then he gets trapped in the game or something like that,
Yeah, something like that. I'm just excited because, knowing me and knowing my history and that stuff, I got to support Mormon creators. And Don Bluth is the biggest Mormon figure in animation right now. So.
I didn't even know he was a Mormon.
Neither did I.
Very, yeah. He's like he still goes to church and everything. He's like one of our big heroes of like celebrity individuals kind of thing. So
I had no idea.
Mhm.
Good to know.
I know. No, only I care on that one. That's
No,
just-
it is interesting. I mean, you don't hear a lot of like Mormon celebrities, big celebrities, generally speaking, and it's big Don Bluth. Your mileage may vary.
yeah, that's the problem. It's like I even thought Titan AE was not terrible, but it was a humongous financial disaster. So
I liked
just-
Titan AE. I thought that was a pretty cool movie.
Yeah, I did too.
Yeah. It wasn't the best ever, but it was like one of the things where it's like, yeah, it was like really innovative with CG and 2D animation blending, and it just flopped to the box office.
And I want to go on record. Secret of Nim was one of my favorite
Yes.
movies growing up. It was truly awesome and just really well done.
Yeah, no, agreed. All right, so this doesn't make that big a deal to me, but it does to some people that Kevin Smith has put out a free commentary track to go with your Jay and Silent Bob Blu-ray if you bought it for home, because there was no commentary track. There actually, and I'll hand it to him, I found it considerably less annoying than a lot of his other recent films, which is damning it with faint praise, I realize, but it had some really fun extra features on it. So I was like, okay, I didn't even occur to me there was no commentary. But anyway, the upshot is Kevin is one of those guys. He just, despite being a stoner, he stays pretty damn busy. And so he put on his YouTube channel the commentary track set up so you could like lick it up and watch it with the movie, which I think is just kind of a cool thing to do.
Yeah.
Agreed.
He's beating us to our watch a movie with us game. So
Yeah, right.
Or-
So a little bit of horror news. First off, there's a Final Destination reboot on the way. I believe we've talked about this before on the show. I'm a big fan of the Final Destination series. I certainly don't think they're all great, but some of them are really great. If you don't know, the Final Destination movies are one where the idea is these people in the beginning, a group of young, attractive people avoid death because one of them has a premonition of it, and he manages to convince that group of people of getting out of the way before the thing happens. It's airplane crash, roller coaster, whatever. But then death is like, no, I'm sorry, I don't know who sent you that text message, but you all got to die. And so one at a time, through usually very Rube Goldbergian means, they end up getting killed by death, murdered by death, if you will, even though death is not anthropomorphized. It's like, okay, death, not a big scary guy with a cloak walking around.
well, unless you consider Tony Todd in the movies to be the embodiment of death, who knows? Kind of thing. So.
They never really decided on that. I got the feeling, because he's like a what do you call, works at a funeral home, and you get the idea that he just has a unique insight into it. But they tease that maybe it's more than that, but it's true, Ben. I love it because it's death trying to kill young, attractive people. I literally trying to do that telepathically every day.
I love too how the sequels are always just exactly what you said, and then they go, okay, instead of a plane, it's a roller coaster. Instead of a roller coaster, it's a pier with a bridge on it, and instead of that, it's a race car rally. So I wonder what other themed thing they're going to pick next for Final Destination.
I still laugh because every time I'm on the highway and there is a truck with a bunch of logs on it, ain't nobody driving behind that truck. Nobody. They're like, fuck that. I saw that movie. That does not work out well.
I was going to say though that logs cannot bounce that high like in that movie. Just saying, if you're worried.
I don't know that they can or can't.
Yeah, I don't necessarily agree with that either. I think that's certainly possible.
Whatever.
So anyway, they're saying that the film, at first they were saying it was going to be a straight up reboot. Now they're saying, well, maybe it's more of a like one of those faint reboots, the way the new Halloween films were, where it's like, okay, it's a continuation of the series, but we're doing it in a very...
The fifth one had a really clever tie-in.
Oh yeah.
So,
Yeah.
I mean, if we did something like that, that'd be cool.
But it's being written by the guys Patrick Melton and Marcus Dunstan, who on one hand wrote most of the Saw films. On the other hand, the good hand, they also wrote and directed the Collector films, which are great. So I'm hoping that that's more the sort of thing they're going to be trying to doing than I'm sorry, absolutely atrocious Saw movies, which I still absolutely don't get. Cameron
Well,
says logs don't bounce. I don't, I need to see the experiment video where someone tries it.
Physics-wise, they're heavy enough and they have certain material enough that they would slide off and make a big dent in the road, but they couldn't bounce like that.
That's fair. He says on the commentary, they say nope. So there you go. That's all the proof I guess we're going to get on that.
Fair enough.
And as for Saw, well, we're going to see how Chris Rock does that too when he does his reboot. So.
Yeah. Not wildly interested, but hey, who knows, right? But I am interested in, of all things, in a series I never thought I'd be interested in seeing more from, is they're saying there's going to be a new Scream film. That's about the extent of what we know in terms of like what that plot's going to be or the approach to it. But what we do know, it's the guys from Radio Silence who are completely taking over this project. And if you don't know that name, you should. They're the ones who did Ready or Not, which was a big hit and a really fun sort of like a comedy horror film with a lot of self-awareness about the genre. And I was like, wow, if there's anybody I would pick to relaunch the Scream series, it would be those guys.
Ready or Not, and then they also did I forget which of the VHS movies, but the best parts of the VHS movies are probably Radio Silence.
Oh yeah, I think it was the first one. They had the last sketch, I believe, or last segment where a bunch of fratty types are like, oh, we got invited to this haunted house on Halloween. Let's go. And what they don't realize, they've gone to the wrong house, and the house they're at is actually haunted, like really like demons and shit. And so they see all this stuff coming out and they're like, oh, that's awesome. I wonder how they did that. And I was like, I wonder how come it took so long for someone to think up this idea and make them like a short film out of it. Cause that's a great idea. I still keep hoping they're going to make a whole movie out of that.
All right. So I'm going to bounce as well. So you guys keep getting the news. I'll be back later. So.
Okay, Justin. Bye. By the way, if any the rest of our people who've ever been on One of Us want to come in, anybody's watching this and wants to join, please send me a message. If you're already on our Slack channel, I added the link to here. You can just hit that and join the conversation if you feel like it. Certainly, no pressure. Okay, some pressure. What else we got? Oh yeah, George Miller wants to shoot a Furiosa prequel next year. Which, Mad Max, but about that character that Charlize Theron played, but when she was young. And apparently he's already auditioned what's her name? Anna Taylor-Joy to come in and play the lead in that. She was, of course, was in The Witch and Split and Emma. She's kind of a big deal right now. I can't help but think that no matter how good or bad this movie is, it's going to have a really big first weekend due to the overwhelming success and just continued deep love for the last Mad Max film, which, I mean, when we were putting together our best of the year list, it was the movie pretty much most people had on their top 10.
Yeah, it's fantastic. I think, and she's really talented. I think she would do a pretty good job in it. Yeah,
I'm just curious, why do a prequel instead of just continuing on with the story? I mean, I'm fine with doing a not Max story that follows Furiosa, but I'd kind of rather just see what happens next with Furiosa, with Charlize Theron. I really hate that people think that making a prequel is always the way to go, because I think that's only if you've just got this tremendous, incredible, you could only do it as a prequel idea. Should you ever continue with a prequel? That's what I'm hoping is the case. Like, I'm thinking, because it's not like anybody was clamoring for it, and so I think George either has to have a great idea. But yeah, that's probably what it is. I feel like he thinks he must have a great idea. So, yeah. Cameron Samuels is saying here about New Mutants. Yeah, man, this poor goddamn movie. When are we going to see New Mutants? I want to see it. Apparently, there are all those talks like, oh, it went back for reshoots and everything, like more than once. And then the director came out and said that we literally never went back for reshoots, not even once. The movie is done as it was. They never asked us to do reshoots. It's just been sitting there. It's almost gotten released like 3 times. Like, one company's like, oh, we really love it. The other company's like, oh, we really hate it. And then they changed their tune. And then this all happened. So it had a set theatrical release, and now it's not. It's kind of like, guys, at this point, the fire has died down a bit for New Mutants. So I think maybe it's time to just shove that thing onto Disney Plus, because as it is, y'all are very severely lacking for like new premieres that appeal to your older fans on there. I mean, they had The Mandalorian, and we were supposed to be getting the Marvel shows, but now those have all been delayed. So it's kind of like, yeah, now is the time to say, look, we're just going to drop that on Disney Plus. In my opinion. Nobody else has a thought?
Yeah, I'm totally with that.
feel like there's so much to get through on Disney Plus. I have to admit that content is excess. There's just so much of it. But that's really all I have to say about that.
When I looked at Disney Plus's list, I was like, I saw all this stuff when I was like 8 to 13 when it came out in theaters. I never really needed to see it again. All the stuff that's on there. It's like the computer wore tennis shoes and Flubber. I'm like, this is not really something I need to pay a monthly fee for. Not yet. Not till they add a bunch more Marvel stuff.
They have all kinds of stuff too. I mean, they even have like a nature show edited by or narrated by Will Smith, which is just like called like This Strange Rock. It was so weird and out there, but it had all these like incredible like cameos by people doing voiceovers and even like dramatizations. I don't know. I'm just saying Disney Plus is deep.
Aaron was saying he thought it would be Hulu. I'll tell you though, I mean, The Mandalorian is PG-13 for sure, right? Like that is definitely for kids, for older kids.
Yeah.
New Mutants was going to be PG-13. I think it probably would be fine. I know no one at Disney is like taking notes right now going like, really? You think so? Okay. All right. Go ahead and do it, guys. Chris said it was okay. That's not happening.
There might be one guy bored enough.
No, there's one guy who's just that bored. So the last of the news stories I had prepared was, of course, to talk about Stuart Gordon, the horror filmmaking legend. He's always going to be, I think, most celebrated for his film Reanimator, which was a very formative movie for me, most certainly. If you've never seen it, it was one of the Lovecraft adaptations, which is to say, it was kind of had things in common with the Lovecraft story, but not really. But it was a massive success. It was horror sort of comedy. But definitely of the splat stick variety. And I know it introduced a lot of the world to the wonderful, and I still think the #1 scream queen of all time, Barbara Crampton, who not only is great in that movie and another one she did with him, From Beyond, which was viewed as sort of not a sequel per se, but like a sort of related. It's another based loosely on a Lovecraft story. But she's wonderful, and as JC can attest as well, a really nice person.
Super nice. Very nice person.
Yeah, she says she comes to festivals and she'll just talk to anyone. She is the best. Ben just joined us.
Hey.
Because he can't stop himself. He's like, I got to be on camera.
Hey, I gave everybody else a chance, but Aaron's like, I just want to chat with people. I don't want to be on camera.
Oh, Aaron.
He just wants to show off that fancy microphone. Look at that thing. Can I get that drop in, please? Yeah, just bring it a little lower right there. Just, stop it right there. Thank you very much.
Look, I have a budget and a lack of self-control. What do you want from me?
It's like an audiophile porn movie over there.
Chris, I've been to your house. That is way underselling yourself.
Wow.
I have a little bit of audio envy is all I'm saying. But yeah, Stuart Gordon, a big deal, apparently a ridiculously nice person to all reports. He also did Castle Freak, Robot Jocks, and a lot more.
Dolls. Don't forget Dolls. That movie was so dang creepy.
Dolls. Yeah, I forgot. How did I forget Dolls? Dolls was really good. Well, okay, let's not get carried away. It wasn't really good, but it was fun. He did the
copy of Dolls because Brian Salisbury gave it to me because he got it as a review copy and didn't want it.
Are you serious?
He gave it to me for Christmas.
That sounds like something Brian would do. But we forgot he also is the one who brought Honey, I Shrunk the Kids to Disney and was originally set to direct. Apparently he got sick and was replaced by Johnston, but that whole thing was launched and pitched by Gordon. You would never guess Honey, I Shrunk the Kids is a Stuart Gordon thing, but there you go. Surprising. Anyway, a great creator. And Maciek, we will have you on a future episode when we talk about animation, but thank you for asking. Anyway, I was curious, you guys, let's go to the segment, which is just, what have you been watching? Because I know everybody is watching something right now, like obsessively. We've got a lot of spare time, and I want to hear both from the people commenting and from you guys. What is it right now that's taking up your time? Watching, playing, whatever. JC, what about you?
Playing a lot of Xbox, a lot of Call of Duty, Modern Warfare. As far as like what I'm watching, I'm still in the mode where I'm just scrolling through Netflix, Hulu, Amazon Prime, just kind of watching whatever catches my fancy. At some point, I will. One of my top priorities is like as soon as I get down, I want to binge something. Gonna watch The Wire. Haven't seen it. Everybody can yell at me. That's fine. But yeah, I need to watch The Wire.
I feel like we're supposed to, right? Isn't that the rule? Like if someone says they haven't seen The Wire, you're supposed to go, what? Yeah, why? Everyone's supposed to go at once. Oh, come on, let's do this, guys. All right, ready? 1, 2, 3. Oh, man,
The Wire. Get out of here.
I haven't seen it at least once. Come on.
You're done, JC.
Get out of here. Go.
I thought I liked you, and now I'm questioning everything. No, I'm
I
just
don't
kidding.
know how it missed me because I've seen like everything else HBO's put out. So.
It took me a long time to get to it, to be fair.
It's like when a friend told me, like, leave the bar now, I'll pay your tab. You have to watch Breaking Bad now.
Real quick, Machek says DC Superhero Girls. I know he's been sending me links about that. I feel like I watched like one of the movies or something they put out the DVD. I just don't really remember. I remember whatever exposure I had to it. I liked it, but I have not explored it heavily. Certainly, I think the only DC animated thing that's been drawing my attention of late quite a bit is, of course, Harley Quinn, which season 2 is coming out very soon. It's dropping in April, I believe, which is less than a few months after they dropped the first one, which was tremendous. I keep saying, if you guys like the Venture Brothers, you'll like this.
It is one of my favorite shows of the last year. I've rewatched it while we've been on quarantine. I'm like, I just need to watch this again. There's so many little jokes in the background. It is a brilliant piece of animation.
JC, what else you got?
That's pretty much it. I've kind of just watching whatever is on any of the streaming services. So yeah, a little bit of everything. Nothing. I'm chronicling everything I watch on through Letterboxd. So I'm having a picture of, because Letterboxd is a feature where you can kind of share movies through Facebook stories. So yeah, if you want to see what I've been watching, just check out my Instagram.
Ross O'Brien, our buddy from Hong Kong, says, anybody watching Devs? I am, in fact, watching Devs. I'm really enjoying it. It's Alex Garland who created Ex Machina and Annihilation, who directed those films, and him doing on Hulu a miniseries that is basically this guy and his girlfriend work for this tech genius billionaire guy who's played by Ron Swanson.
Good enough for me.
Yeah, and I'm forgetting his real name right now, but playing a dramatic role, which you don't see very often with him. And the guy gets promoted to the super secret devs area. No one knows what it is, but that no one's allowed to talk to it about it. So he gets brought into this amazing place that they do it. That's literally like got crazy groundbreaking science just in the construction of it, and is told basically, okay, here's what we're doing. And it becomes revealed, and this is all first episode stuff, that he has made a deal with someone to basically give information on what's happening for money there. He is caught, and they straight up murder him.
Oh, shit.
Yeah. And the rest of it is following his girlfriend, who's like, doesn't believe that that's all there is to the story, that like something else, he would not have done that. Basically, he would not have killed himself, is the way they set it up to look like. And the story gets deeper into these quantum physics type stuff with what they're actually working on, which is kind of, it's not time travel, but it's like time travel adjacent.
Okay.
I don't want to say too much to spoil, because there's a lot of great reveals in this thing. I mean, I think not even halfway through it yet, but it's really good. I really recommend it. Santiago, what do you got?
I'm kind of all over the place. I just started watching Dark, which is an older Netflix show. It's actually really good, and I don't know if you guys know, but it's actually a German show that was overdubbed, which actually told me that gosh, it must be good, because if they didn't just remake the dang thing and they just decided to do an overdub, which is actually really weird. When I realized what was happening, it was just like, wow, I haven't seen this happen since kung fu movies. Like it's happening. But once you get past it, it really is an interesting show about just like a reoccurring nightmare happening in this small town. But the nightmare is based on the idea, which is kind of crazy. But it's the idea that everything is kind of happening at the same time. Time is a flat circle. So I don't know. It's really creepy. If you guys haven't checked it out, I definitely recommend it.
I've had lots of people recommend that show to me, and it's one of those I wrote myself out a huge list I talked about last week on the air of all this stuff. I'll get to this now during this downtime, of which I've actually had very little downtime, but that's high up on my list because so many people have said, oh, you like horror television, you got to watch Dark. Yes, I know it's subtitled, get over it.
It's got a lot of occultish lore in it. Like there's so many Medium articles that have been written about this show. It's really fun to watch and then go and research the episode. Been having a whole lot of fun with that, which is, I don't know, I eat that stuff up. Like these shows that are like HBO doing the podcast like mid-season. Love that stuff. Speaking of HBO, I did watch the new episode of Westworld, which I freaking loved. I thought it was so good. Pretty excited about the season. Probably going to ingest some of that again, by the way, because Westworld was just so well done that I have no problem going back and let's just watch that over again.
Dude, I watched the first 2 episodes. I've not watched the third one yet, which I guess came out today, right?
Yeah.
But it took me a little while to get to it because I still liked the second season, but I thought it was a big letdown after the first one, which I really loved. And the second season was just kind of, I don't know. I felt like it was kind of navel gazing a little bit too much, quite frankly. But this one, seeing the stuff about it, hi Chris, seeing the things about it, the trailers, I was like, wait, okay, so this is a complete different type of show you're making here. This doesn't feel or look anything like the previous Westworld. And at first, that is kind of accurate. That first season, the first episode is like, wow, this is like we're watching like a sequel show instead of the third season. But it's really good. I was like, wow, I'm really liking what they're doing.
I will say season 2 is a lot of character development. They're really focusing on Thandie Newton's character and just like really just setting her up for what I think is going to be just a huge part in season 3, which I think is great. I mean, Thandie Newton is kind of having like a bit of a renaissance. Like she was in a bunch of movies like in the early aughts, I feel like, and then she kind of disappeared. I think she was in that movie Crash, which really stuck in my heart, let me tell you. But I mean, like I think she's awesome, and yeah, I do think that there was some gratuitousness as far as like getting into the I do think they got off topic just a little bit. Maybe season 2 was a little bit left field, but I still thought it was pretty cool.
I wasn't a Westworld watcher until we were getting ready to talk about season 2 on The Gathering, so I marathon through and I'm like, okay, first season's kind of cool. Then we got the season 2 and it's just like, okay, I can't keep with this. What the fuck is happening? They don't seem to know what they're doing right now.
Westworld's another one I haven't. I started it the first season. I got about 3 or 4 episodes in. I got kind of confused and haven't revisited it yet, but I probably will.
Yeah.
I think it's really worth doing it. Hey, look who it will be. I guess it says Marco, but he doesn't appear to be appearing.
This could be for the best.
Well, we'll see what happens here if he gets back on. I don't know what's going on there. It could be for the best.
I thought I was supposed to be invited. I was waiting to be invited, so I muted myself.
Sorry. Yeah. No, it's all good.
Well, good. Now I don't have to chat. I can tell you guys that Dark does, in fact, have a German dub available. You just have to dig for it. It's so much better. That's all I wanted to say.
Bradley Martin says, Santiago, do you root for or against Dolores? I mean, isn't it too early to say?
Hold on. I mean, no, it's not too early for anyone to. I do think that Dolores is she's the counterculture, man. I mean, she wants to eat the rich, so I gotta root for the underdog there and say that she's awesome. I mean, she's for those of y'all who don't know, I believe her name is Rachel Lee Cook, who's playing Dolores, and she's just not only strikingly just really fun to look at because she's beautiful, but she's also got this stone cold, like dark queen act, like down pat. Like she's doing a really good job. And that said, you know, I do think that Thandie Newton is kind of just like the voice of reason coming into season 3, and Dolores is really just, oh man, I'm
hey,
thinking, there's
Frank.
Hey, Frank.
For some reason, she's reminding me of the female character in Blade Runner 2049, which I think we've had a few discussions about. But I'm rooting for Dolores. Go Dolores. Yes.
Right now, I'm on her side, and I'm kind of like, you know what? Looking around at our world, I'm like, you know what? I think robots, you're probably going to do a better job handling things in the world than we would. So maybe it's time for the robots. Maybe it's time for us to salute our new, very sexy robot overlords.
Yeah, the timing is perfect on this, by the way, because we're all getting pretty cynical about how things are going on, I'm sure, and I feel like it's just
a little bit.
Ben,
You're
what are you watching?
waiting for us to die.
Well, as far as watching or playing, I am playing a lot of games. Actually, finally getting the Jedi Fallen Order, which I know you've finished, Chris, and generally like. But
I did. I still haven't finished it. I am the worst with games. I get like 3/4 the way through, and then something else, shiny, appears, and I go and start that, and I'm like, I'll get back to you, game, and I still haven't gotten back to it yet.
It's a good challenge.
I'm like playing with Spider-Man again now, and it's been too long because I literally got all the way to that scene sequence where they go, if you go forward, you can't go back. This is the end of the game, and I just didn't do it. I'm like, and now it's trying to play it again after 6 months. I'm like, fuck, this game is hard. I better start over.
You're at the hardest level going, I'll just pick it up fresh, right? Yeah.
Right. So I'm sorry. What are you playing?
But yeah, so the Jedi Fallen Order is great. It's kind of like Tomb Raider adventuring mixed with Star Wars. I've heard from some people they like it better than some of the recent movies, which if you watch Rise of Skywalker, I can't blame you on that. But yeah, so that's what I've been playing. As far as watching, I watched that Pete Davidson Alive from New York special on Netflix.
Right.
That is actually great. Like, he is so candid in this one, and it's just like he's finally back to a comfortable place mentally and, just life-wise, and it's actually pretty great with that. And otherwise, I'm doing something that I know a bunch of nerds will be like, of course we're doing that, is revisiting Cowboy Bebop, because goddamn, if that's not an amazing bit of television and a great series.
That's fair. I still need to watch Cowboy Bebop. I watched the first episode and I loved it, and I just never got back around to watching it again.
It's on Hulu, but I also have the Blu-ray box set if you want it, when we're allowed out of our homes again.
I'll probably just watch it on there. Reminder to self, put it on my list of stuff that I should be watching and getting caught up on.
It certainly stood the test of time. I remember passing around bootlegs of Cowboy Bebop in high school.
It is one of those things. That opening alone, like, I was like, I'll watch a couple episodes because the friend was wanting to do a watch along, and I'm like, all right, sure. And just the intro alone is like the best, like, fluid, high energy jazz intro to any show ever. I'm like, all right, fine, I'm gonna marathon this for like the whole night. Whatever, I don't need to sleep.
Frank, other than the Burbs, what are you watching and trying to catch up on?
Like, up until I just came onto this, I was watching the making of the Burbs. Yeah, I put that on pause and chat with you, lovely guy.
Of course, you're watching the making of the Burbs.
Well, it's on the Blu-ray. You don't buy the Blu-ray.
Wait, that wasn't a reality TV show?
Not my reality right now. No, I don't know. I think I'm been sticking to like vintage stuff. I watched the Hitchcock movie yesterday, and let's see what else.
You're not getting caught up on any of the streaming shows? He's watched Family Plot, which is one of the most underrated Hitchcock movies ever.
That's not a bad one.
Yeah.
Yes. No, I love it. I love
It's got
it.
its moments.
It's perfect. Yeah, totally. I need to get caught up on some streaming shows. You lent me Doom Patrol.
Watch that.
It's really good.
I've never heard you recommend a show more than you recommended Doom Patrol to me. You're like, it's like Twin Peaks. It's like this. It's like that. It's like you'll love it. You'll love it.
Yeah.
That's my next project.
Brilliant.
Okay. Well, the next time we do this, I expect to hear your full report.
Come on. Yeah, I need those back on occasion.
Marco, what about you?
I was actually rewatching, believe it or not, because now all 300 episodes are on YouTube. I was rewatching old episodes of the Red Green Show, just because I like that kind of corny shit. Also, I've been rewatching The Next Generation. I'm a few episodes into Tiger King, and I'm liking it. But I agreed with some friends of mine that we were going to watch it online together. So we're on a schedule, so I couldn't jump ahead of them. And after that, I'm going to dip back into Babylon Berlin, which I started watching, which was great, but got busy last year and didn't get to finish it. And now they've got a third season out, so I'm going to try to binge that. And just because it goes back to that dark thing Santiago was talking about, for some stupid reason, all of the Netflix shows that seem to be like foreign language based, they default to the English dub.
He's correct.
And it's really annoying. Apparently, that is. I have a friend of mine who is working on trying to get together something to get a film produced, and has talked to some people at Netflix. And part of the hook of his movie was that it was all going to be in an indigenous language. And the folks that he talked to at Netflix were like, "That's cool, but you need to have an English dub. That is mandatory if you're going to take Netflix's money." So apparently that's just part of the deal. But if you dig into the settings, you can find it. And I've met many people who hated Dark, hated Babylon Berlin because they didn't like the dubbing. But once they found out where the settings were and they could switch back to the original language dub, they loved it. It's a huge difference.
Yeah, I only realized that when we were reviewing Altered Carbon Re-Sleeved. I was like, these dubs are okay. They're not terrible, but they're not great. And I went back to rewatch a scene, and I was like, wait, this was a Japanese production. I was like, there's a setting there. Why am I watching basically anime with dubs? No, even like I don't even watch anime past like Cowboy Bebop, and even I know you don't watch it with dubs. Come on.
Yeah, I mean, I guess
Well,
I'm
you
like,
are
I'm weird.
if you're Philistine, I guess.
Look, live action stuff. I'm like, no, I won't even watch it if there's not a subtitled version available. I'm like, no, sorry, no interest. But animated, I'm like, it's dubbing either way. I'm kind of like, I don't really care as long as
those
they
cartoons were never talking.
Beyond bad.
But it's written for Japanese voice acting so that it actually feels more natural. The performance is usually better.
But I've seen some really great American dubs, like the Miyazaki stuff they've dubbed into with American. It's been great.
Sure, pick
Yeah,
the
they did, like,
Disney of
real
Japan and say they're pretty great. Yeah.
I'm just reading Ross's comment that Ozark season 3 needs an English dub at times.
So I am actually watching American Horror Story 1984, which I did not watch as it aired. It's the first of the shows that I have not watched as it aired, and it wasn't anything against it. I love American Horror Story.
Yeah.
I love partially that you never know what you're going to get. Some seasons are like, that was the best thing I watched all year, and some are like, that was the worst thing I watched all year. You never know. Huh?
Looking at you, Coven.
Coven and Freak Show are the two, like, and Apocalypse. Those are my three least favorite. Everything else is pretty great. In fact, a lot of people shat all over the one, the political one, the one before Apocalypse. I'm blanking on the name of it. Cult. And I thought that was one of the best seasons the show had done. So I'd already heard some people talking smack about 1984, but there's always some people talking smack about any given season of American Horror Story. This one is going from the viewpoint. I mean, it's Stranger Thingsing it, basically. It's like, It's the 80s. It's all about 80s nostalgia. The first episode is literally just an 80s slasher movie, pretty much. It's like a bunch of obnoxious 80s party types with the one innocent girl played by Emma Roberts are going together out to this camp, the summer camp, where they're going to be counselors. And meanwhile, like, which hasn't opened since a decade or so before, when a killer went and murdered tons and tons of people at the camp. This said killer has escaped from the local asylum, and now he's back to try and kill people, the counselors who are at the camp. Okay, that's kind of standard fare. But as it starts going through the episodes, as American Horror Story does, it starts doing weirder and more fucking fucked up stuff. Like,
did the killer turn out to really be his mom the whole time?
No, there's another killer who shows up,
but he didn't believe he was the killer.
Richard Ramirez shows up, the Night Stalker, because he's been stalking Emma Roberts, and he shows up.
Not to be confused with Darren McGavin.
But then the head camp counselor, who's one of the survivors of the original massacre, encounters him and basically seduces him with kindness and becomes his ally. And that's not even. Oh yeah, and there's a camper from 1970 was when the original thing happened, who was killed during the massacre, and he keeps appearing, like, and going, what's going on? I don't understand what's happening.
Friday the 13th meets Zodiac.
So like the guy, well, no, I mean, like the guy, like the Night Stalker kills him, and then turns around and he's there again going, what's going on? Where am I? Not remembering anything that just happened. He's like, what the fuck? I just killed you, dude. What's going on? And we still don't, where I am in the show, we don't know yet what's going on. Obviously, there's some sort of time thing happening as well. Oh, yeah. And then there's also the connection. The killer from that had killed everyone originally has a connection to one of these characters as well. That's revealed. And
to do.
It's just nonstop American Horror Story. It's so fucked up, and it never stops surprising you with its decisions that in a movie would be terrible ideas, but in a television show are just like, yay!
It is kind of that's the
reason. Reminded me, I need to give. I think my next rewatch is going to be Zodiac. So thank you for that, by the way. I
keep meaning to get it back around to that. So
that's a great thing.
Josh says anyone who grows up in the 80s know how horrible it was. It had its downs, it had its ups. But I probably look at it with rose-colored glasses like a lot of people do with their childhood. There's certainly things that I can't. Can you imagine right now going back to the 80s and going, okay, first off, no cell phones, just no such thing as cell phones.
No.
Doesn't exist except for that one guy on a ski slope who's got the giant. You'll never believe what I'm talking to you on right now.
Just
That's
only the
Hot Tub
yuppies
Time
know.
Machine.
yeah, exactly.
My car. Yeah.
It's my favorite joke.
Hey Dave, I'm talking to you on a mountain.
Yeah, he was like, how do I find you? And she's like, you just come find me. And that
Yeah.
sounds exhausting.
That movie really nailed those jokes.
We had a night the other night. We were both, me and my wife, feeling really stressed out by all this, and we're like, I want to watch something that's so stupid and fun that the last thing we're going to do is think about everything. So we watched Hot Tub Time Machine, and it's great. That first one is just
The first one is good. It made my top 10 that year. I liked it a lot.
Yeah.
There's so many little jokes in that movie. There's a bit at the beginning where they're making a Shining joke that basically you have to pay attention for. And I'm just like, this is one of the funniest moments in a movie that's everybody overlooked the first watch that I love every time.
and then we watched, which is definitely maybe not the best idea, but still one of those movies that kind of, it was good to make light of it all. We watched This Is the End, which is honestly one of my favorite comedies the last 10 years. I will rewatch that movie so many times. I think it's so goddamn funny. I think I've told you all about my idea for a sequel, right?
Forget.
Okay. I think this is great.
Okay.
So it is the world premiere of the film in Tokyo. The whole cast is there for the premiere of the film in Tokyo, and there's a kaiju attack.
I knew you were going to say kaiju. Once you said Tokyo, he's kaiju. I knew that's where you were going. But hey, that could be fun. That could be cool.
I mean, and so it ends up being another end of the world scenario, and they get to play different exaggerated versions of themselves, and you can have fun with the idea that the version we saw in the film is not what they actually are like. You can revert some things and change them around, and that would be awesome
I'm
fun.
okay with this so long as they cast Danny McBride as the kaiju. and that's it. It's just Danny McBride. He's like, hey, everybody. And he's just like trampling Tokyo. But he's 300 feet tall.
Somebody tell Seth Rogen this is a money-making idea.
I was going to say, what was that short film that showed at Fantastic Fest a few years ago? Was the kaiju battle with Patton Oswalt?
Was it? I don't think I saw that.
I think I heard of that, but I haven't seen it.
They actually just released it finally on YouTube. I have to look it up.
Yeah,
But
it's a short film. They released it somewhere. Yeah, it's basically Patton. He gets. I don't know if it's trick. I can't remember if he's tricked.
It's like he's trying to find work, and in
Okay,
Japan, and this one guy's like, "Oh, we'll put you on this show," because like nobody in Japan knew who he was, and it turns out it's a kaiju battle show, and he's up against some other B-list celebrity, and they go fight to the death, and Patton like gets like basically like rage-induced steroids.
Chris
and
Ayers
starts
just
finally.
dropped. He just told us what it is. Monster Challenge.
Yes,
Let me
look
see if
that
I
up.
can pull that
It
up.
is really fantastic.
Stop watching us now. Just go watch Monster Challenge instead. No, don't do that.
What are you doing? Don't tell people that.
Oh wait, Chris, I think I know why you didn't see it. I think it did premiere at Fantastic Fest before You Might Be the Killer, and you already watched the screener of that.
Oh, okay. Well,
Oh, that's
there
so
you
good.
go.
I love
That's
that.
another great one. You Might Be the Killer. I think that's on Shudder now or Sci-Fi.
Let's see if I can find it.
I think it might be on Hulu, maybe. I don't know.
Okay.
I'm just seeing if I can actually pull up the video, but anyway, it doesn't matter. We're kind of at the end of our time for the show. Is there anything anybody else is dying to talk about before we get
Ben
wrap
actually
this up?
made me remember Netflix comedy specials. I have been watching some of those. Bert Kreischer and Tom Segura both have brand new ones, so check those out on Netflix. Tom Segura actually recorded his here in Austin back in October.
Okay.
Oh, cool. The only one I've watched recently was the new Mark Maron, which is apocalyptically themed, even though it was recorded pre any of this, but still felt pretty apocalypsy with just Trump becoming president.
Yeah.
But
Mood.
I thought it was the best thing Maron's done. Like really, really funny stuff.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Anybody else? Anything? Bueller?
Support your local brewers.
This
Yeah.
probably.
Yes, Marco is correct.
Yeah. Support your local brewers, your local bars, your local restaurants. There's so many. Oh my God, there's so many things you can do now to support and get something back for your support online. Just look around, especially if you have Eater in your city, which is a blog that focus that has different editions for each city. They're doing a really good job of spreading the word of like places you can, like restaurants that are doing delivery deals, special deals, things like that, and bars that are doing it. That's a good one to keep a look on. I find Thrill List is another one you can get emails
really
from
good.
that are really great about showing, okay, here's a bunch of free stuff online you can check out, like all sorts of stuff. A lot of theater companies are doing broadcasting their plays live. There's tons of stuff out there right now.
Yeah. So, and if you think we're lame and dorky when we're sober, man, you know, or when we're drunk, I should say, really, the beer is what's keeping us going. And thank God
For the
those guys
most
are helping
part,
us
yeah.
out. So, yeah, support your local arts, support your local brewers, and take care of yourselves out there, people.
Indeed. And we'll be back. This show, the End of the World show, is going to be once a week, but we're going to have more shows during the week that are more topic specific that we're trying to get going. I know Matt Frank is going to have a Giganticast in here at some point, which is cool.
Good.
So we will have more stuff like that. We're trying to come up with ideas for things, including like live plays and all sorts of stuff. So we shall see how that goes. If you guys have any ideas, we'd love to hear from you. Please check out our video once we post it on the site. Like the edited version of this, please spread it around, send it to, put it up on your page, groups that you like, say, hey, check this out. I enjoy watching this. That would be great. We really appreciate it and all your support. As Emilka Za says, support your local podcasts. Yes, indeed. And like I said, we'll be back in a week. Thanks to everybody for joining me. And you guys stay safe out there. Stay home. And for God's sakes, don't get bored. Finally watch that thing you've been telling yourself for years you're going to watch. Like, oh, I don't know, The Wire.
Yeah.
She's going to do that.
Or write that novel.
You're listening to the Oneofus.net podcast network.